The gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Mr. Speaker. I rise in support of H.R. 613, the Lieutenant Albarati Correctional Officers Self-Protection Act, and urge its immediate passage. Mr. Speaker, every year I conduct in the district, when we're back in the district, over 300 meetings with constituents to understand some of the issues they're facing. That might be from senior citizens to nurses to school teachers to correctional officers. We do this on an annual basis to listen and to learn and bring back their concerns, what's affecting them, back to Washington so we can work on legislation. These meetings shape a large portion of the legislation our office works on. When student veterans told us in the district about the problems they were having with the GI Bill for benefits to pay for their degrees, we came back and passed legislation to address that issue. When the story of a correctional officer, Eric Williams' brutal murder was brought to our attention, we developed and passed legislation allowing officers to carry pepper spray, simple pepper spray. Now, when that was adopted, that might have prevented his death by inmates who took his life. Now, correction officers in our district have brought us other concerns about being targeted when they finish their shift and leave prison for the day. We heard the story about how Lieutenant Albarati was brutally murdered, targeted and murdered on his way home from work at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Puerto Rico. All this in retaliation for his investigation into a cell phone smuggling ring that was occurring in the prison. He was shot, he was targeted, shot, chased, and killed after leaving work that day. Correctional officers find themselves as targets often, we're hearing, for retaliatory work, what they've done at work. Unfortunately, the Bureau of Prisons policy prohibits officers from carrying or storing their personal firearms at the federal facility where they work or anywhere on the grounds. This bill requires that every federal facility have a safe and secure area in which officers can store their personal firearms during their shift. We will provide them, with passage of this bill, we will provide them with one more tool to ensure they make it home safely to their families every day, giving them a peace of mind that they can perform their duties and not worry about the aftermath. Look, our nation's prison guards are often taken for granted. They are the forgotten men and women of America who face evil, and I mean that in the strongest word. They face evil every day to keep our communities safe. Today we have the opportunity to honor Lieutenant Albarati for his service and weep with his widow and his 3 children for their loss. His sacrifice, as the chairman said, must not be in vain. The lessons that we've learned can be used to prevent another tragedy like this from happening ever again. So I thank you to the Judiciary Committee, its chairman, Mr. Goodlatte, and the House leadership for bringing H.R. 613 to the floor, and urge all my colleagues to honor the memory of Lieutenant Albarati by voting yes and sending this bill to the Senate. I yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman yields. The gentleman.